Now it is time for lefties losing it. Now, look, we know that kooky Kamala Harris loves to spin a drunken narrative, but this might be her craziest story she's ever spun.
What I've done and the fact that I was elected district attorney for 2 terms as the first woman elected attorney general of the state of California, ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice. I was the United States Senator, second black woman elected in the history of the United States Senate. And I was the first woman vice president of the United States. Some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president.
I like the some people say. Very nice, but go ahead.
I'm just speaking fact.
Sorry. Let me just get this right. She actually thinks she was the most qualified presidential candidate in US history. How much wine did she have before someone handed her that microphone? Did Doug tell her, maybe? I don't know. Because does this scream most qualified to you?
That's why we're here today, because we have the ability to see what can be, unburdened by what has been. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Yeah, poor old pina colada Kamala, poor woman. Now to former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who has actually officially lost it. We knew the time would come, and it has.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
Oh, dear. And look, if she's got nothing to hide about the National Guard, tell us the truth. She's so angry. Now, look, I have to say I am concerned about the calibre of candidates for California governor. First, of course, it was deranged Democrat Katie Porter snapping at a journalist. And now I present Democrat Betty Yee, who thinks biological men who identify as women should compete in the 2028 Olympics in California in the women's division.
Well, you've got the Olympics coming to California, to LA. So are you suggesting that you would allow trans athletes to compete in women's sport in the Olympics if you were governor?
Well, I think there's still a lot of discussion that needs to happen. I think there's a lot of information we need to learn about what's really happening with the ability of trans athletes to compete. But my statement is about being able to be sure that they can compete. And right now,
but my question is whether you think they should compete in women's sport in the Olympics, because it's coming to LA, so it's relevant.
I think transgender female athletes are women athletes.
And look, if that wasn't absurd enough, because it's obviously this is based on actual biology, it just went downhill from there.
Can you think of a single sport in the Olympics where men would not have an advantage over women, with the exception potentially of archery?
You know, I think you can see female athletes where, particularly in track and field, where agility is probably...
Hang on, are you suggesting that women... So hang on. You think that women could compete against men in track and field, like in 100 metres, 200 metres, 10,000 metres, do you?
Perhaps. You know, I'm not a sports expert. But...
Oh, of course they couldn't. Have you seen the times that women and men record in the Olympics for all track and field events? Have you watched Usain Bolt when he smashed the world record for the 100 metres?
Yes.
So you think women could run against Usain Bolt, for example, at his peak, and that would be fair?
I think, look, I'm just going to say this. There's a lot of misinformation about the ability of transgender athletes.
That wasn't my question.
I mean, you have to laugh. You have to laugh. Can this woman get any more stupid? Seriously. And this is actually a woman who wants to be an elected official? Please. Now to nuclear-grade nutter Kathy Griffin, back having a totally normal one, this time suggesting the 2024 election was rigged so that Trump could win.
I don't think he won in a free and fair election. You heard me. I'm coming out and saying it myself. I don't care if that means I look crazy, because Elon Musk, who's this other Nazi guy running around town who owns X, and a lot of people think he's a genius, but he's not. He's like a fake genius. Anyway, he's a professional Nazi, in my humble opinion. And he's good friends with Trump.
Look, poor old Kath. Poor old Kathy, really triggered, still triggered all these years later with this TDS that's just loitering over her, poor woman. And look, speaking of, where did The View pull this one from?
We should have more Republicans on the show, but they don't want to come on. They're scared of us.
But
It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene says that she finds the Republican men afraid of powerful women. Well, that may be true of all the political persuasions. But if they would come on this show, they can explain to us what they're trying to do to this country.
So The View actually claims Republicans are scared to come on the show? I mean, the reality is, why would they want to come onto a show full of dumb, lunatic, liberal women? Please. And now it's time for some Karens Gone Wild. Your favourite, I know, starting with an apparent anger release meeting in the forest. Is it an exorcism? I don't know. It's a scene out of a horror movie, which is maybe where they found this woman from. And why do they all look the same? They're all very similar, aren't they? And why do they just complain about everything?
Isn't it wild that a woman doesn't have her own name that isn't connected to a man? Because her last name is either her father's last name because she was the property of her father, or her husband's last name because she is the property of her husband. So should we just all change our last names to vagina?